Hi, my name is Jessie, and I'm going to be reviewing Cold Crematorium, reporting from the land of Auschwitz by József Debreczeni. Thanks to NetGalley for providing an ARC. This is going to be a review of the preview. So it follows the author from the time he's taken in 1939 to the time that Dornau is liberated in 1945, and so it's 6 years, and it's a long 6 years. Generally speaking, I try to stay away from books about World War II and the Holocaust because inevitably I end up crying, ugly crying. I haven't watched Schindler's List for this specific reason. I did read The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. I cried. I read The Book Thief. I cried. This is a different type of story, though, because it doesn't try to cater to a reader. He goes into telling this story as he would anything else because he was a journalist. And so it's very matter of fact. He was taken. Yesterday he was living in his home and he was comfortable. Today he is not. Today he is marching in the cold weather. He has been given thin clothes. He is put on a train. The train is picking up people as it goes. Some people try to escape, and if they're not killed by trying to escape, they are usually killed when they are caught. They are eventually put in clothes that have red and yellow paint all over them, and they look like they're supposed to be part of some kind of circus, but the purpose is so that if anybody does escape, they can be quickly identified and run down. They're taken to Auschwitz. They are put in this room where they're packed like sardines. And he initially avoids the severely unwanted job of going into the mines. And he works above ground. And he does that for a while, and he sees his fellow prisoners. Some of them are beaten, some of them are run down just by SS soldiers in their tanks. He says that in some instances the soldiers even shoved somebody into the path of an oncoming tank, and they didn't stop. They didn't care. Eventually they were taken out from underneath, the bloody mess. Unfortunately, eventually he is put into the mines, and then we go through that devastation, and he gets sick, and he gets so sick, he's down for a bit, and then they bring him back from the mines. Eventually, he's taken to Dornau. Now, Dornau is the hospital where people go either because they're dying or because they're severely sick. And he thought that it couldn't get any worse than where he was already at, fighting for the bread that they give him, fighting for the food, waiting for the soup to get there, and that's all they got. They got watery bread, or watery soup, or watery soup with a little bit of milk in it, sometimes with potato peels, sometimes not, and tiny pieces of bread, and that was all that they got. And so these people are withering away, and so not only are they getting beaten to death, not only are they getting run over, not only are they dying of sicknesses that they're starting to pick up, but they're also dying of literal starvation. And it tells about how people are taken from the prisoners and put in positions of a kind of illusory authority. And you see how these people kind of devolve from the people that they were before they were taken, from these loving fathers, these loving brothers, these loving children, into their basic animal instincts. And he says he can't even really judge some of these people for what they do in taking from the food that's given to them for their specific quarters, for their camp, and giving some of it to their family, because he would probably do the same if he was in that situation. And by the time he gets to Dornau, he's so thin, and he's sick, and when he gets there, he gets even sicker, because while this is an alleged hospital, it's a mess. There's waste all over the floor. The people, like, they have these like tin cans. One of them is for the soup that they get, and one of them is for them to go to the bathroom in. And he says it's not uncommon for them to get mixed up. And sometimes the people who are supposed to be there to help them go in these tins don't make it, and so the people who can't move, they go in their beds. There's sometimes 2 people, 3 people to a cot. People are dying on a regular basis, and like I said, he tells this with such an amazing way of being able to take himself out of the situation and just tell what happened. Even when he's talking about his feelings, when he's talking about his anger, when he's talking about his grief, when he's talking about his fear, he does it in a way that is so removed from the situation that it's really impressive. It really is. And there's a few spots in the book where his rage does kind of hint below the surface in the way that he writes, but for the most part he just does it in a way that he would report something. It was devastating to read. There were so many times I had to put the book down and kind of breathe, go get some water so I could drink the water until I kind of swallowed the tears down. But it was an incredible book. It was an incredible book. This was translated into English post-mortem, posthumously, but it's incredible. I think that the translators, or the translator Paul Olchveri, did a phenomenal job putting this into the English language, because there was nowhere in the book that it felt disjointed, nowhere in the book where I thought, oh yeah, you can tell this is translated. Everything felt as if it was written in English, which made it that much more impactful. So this is scheduled to come out in January 23rd. It was originally published in 1950, but that was in the original language. So now it's set to come out, be released in English on January 23rd. So I really recommend this book, if for no other reason than it gives a different view of the Holocaust than maybe Hollywood has kind of presented over the last so many decades. It's definitely something that shouldn't be forgotten. It's terrible and scary that if you talk to some of the younger generation that they don't know who it is, or I'm sorry, that they don't know what the Holocaust is, and that's scary. But it is definitely well worth a read, so I hope you'll pick that up. Thank you so much for watching.